The Grudge firmly established its rules, where if you come in contact with the haunted house, the evil attaches itself to you and can haunt you no matter where you are. Before hitting play on The Grudge 2 for the first time, my mind immediately went to the two characters who survived the initial film seemingly unscathed: the real estate agent who gets Clea Duvall's family to move into the house, and the main detective's partner. Neither character is mentioned in The Grudge 2. After a nice bit of business with the Columbia logo, and then a scene with Jennifer Beals, which I'll talk about in a few, we are introduced to three schoolgirls who are going into the spooky house, all while explaining way too much about what's going on. Anyway, they've all been in the house now, so they're doomed. Then, somehow, Sarah Michelle Gellar is still alive, despite her apparent demise during the murky last scene in the previous film. Her mother sends her younger sister, Amber Tamblyn, to Japan to help. But since they then kill off Sarah Michelle Gellar moments later, the sister has to just kinda hang around and investigate. This, of course, takes her into the house, and she gets grudged. Then there's that Jennifer Beals scene I mentioned earlier. That's taking place in Chicago. It's a third plotline we're following in this film, which is again doing the non-linear chapter-esque storytelling, but in this case you're often left wondering, why is any of this happening? Who are these people? Why am I watching this stuff? And when the reveal comes as to why you're supposed to be invested in it, you're like, yeah, I figured that out 30 minutes ago, I don't care. The innocence of the victims in The Grudge was one of its strongest qualities. In this sequel, we're supposed to hate certain characters who end up eating it, and that's just an entirely different vibe. The film is just setting up meaningless fodder, and it becomes similar to everything else that's out there. I hinted at this in my review of the first film, but since it's happened again in the second, I'm gonna go ahead and mention it. Who is taping up this door? The ghosts? Is it ghost tape? This seems like a very weird ruse for ghosts who can literally be anywhere in this house and pretty much do anything. In the first film, it seemed like a creepy bit of business that you then don't think about much because the movie is just going and going. But now that it happens again here, I just have to wonder what the hell the deal is. It pains me to say it, but The Grudge 2 just doesn't work. Everything about it feels way off, and that's despite what seems like the entire creative crew returning to make it. It's not a remake of the second Japanese film, although there are elements of those original films here. Instead, it tries to expand the universe somewhat, but it does it in a very watered-down, I don't care about this direction at all kind of way. The first film was so strong, and this one doesn't come close to that. I felt like I was giving it every possible chance, and it just let me down every step of the way. Despite not being as big of a hit as the first film, The Grudge 2 still managed to whip up $70 million, so it's no surprise that a third film was eventually made. What is surprising though is that it was released straight to video and was directed by a dude from the UK. Also, while the first two were rated PG-13 and had unrated cuts later on DVD, The Grudge 3 is just straight up rated R. Weird how freeing it is not to have to worry about box office. The first thing you notice about The Grudge 3 is that they've added an addendum to the title cards that played at the start of the first two films. This tells you exactly what you're in for and tells me exactly all I need to know. This is gonna suck. The kid survivor from the last film is the first person we see, but he's not long for this movie. He's being treated by Dr. Shawnee Smith, and I'm perplexed seeing Shawnee Smith playing a normal person. Anyway, Chicago is the focus now, except that Chicago is now Bulgaria, and the script is entirely linear. Also, the ghost cast has been replaced with new actors, and they don't feel right at all. Nothing does. It's all off and wrong and barely feels like this is even the same franchise. It drags and goes in directions you don't care about, and in the end, it's rather remarkable how hard this crashes the series. It tries to make a Mr. Potato Head scary at one point. It's not. And Counselor Troy is in this for a hot minute until she's not. It's all too brightly lit, which makes everything look silly instead of spooky. It's just lousy. But yeah, Uncle Creepy likes it, so what the hell do I know? Look, don't hold these two sequels against the original English language version of The Grudge. That film is still great. You can just pretend that they never made these. Although, it'll be interesting to see what the 2020 version of The Grudge is going to be. Yep, that's coming soon. Should be interesting, but watch the original The Grudge. I implore you, it's so good.